Hey everyone, it's Ellen Lewis from Crazy for You, and let's talk Noro patterns tonight. I know that recently we have the Noro magazines, and some of the designs are great, and some of them not so much. So I hear a lot of people say, I love Noro yarn, but I don't always love the patterns that are out there. So, what I want to share with you tonight is a number of patterns, some you know, most you probably have never seen before, that look fantastic in Noro yarn because we're always wondering how those bold stripes and other aspects of Noro that we love so much are going to translate into a garment. Are they wearable? What do they look like? What are some other options? So let's go through it tonight. As I said, I'm Ellen Lewis from Crazy for You. If you are not already subscribed to my channel, I would love it if you would subscribe. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I have been carrying Noro in my shop. I opened the store in 2004 and I started carrying Noro in 2005. So let's just say I've been knitting with it a long time. And they were one of the first companies that gave you a bag of whatever you ordered if you ordered enough of it. So I had a whole bunch of it to play with. And that was really smart marketing on their part because I really did enjoy it. And I kind of got in there because it didn't cost me anything. It was just a wonderful little Benny. So I started knitting stuff with it and I really have fallen in love. And obviously, if you're watching tonight, you are probably also a Noro lover. And I think you'll really enjoy looking at some of these patterns that you may not know ever existed. So some of them are really old, but I promise you they are classic and wearable and timeless, and you will absolutely love them. So let me take a minute to say hi to everybody who's joining me live tonight. Hey, Amelia and Susie and Ellen Orr. So nice to see you. Ellen says she had a great birthday, and I'm glad you like my hair. Doing this curl thing, so that's kind of fun. Okay, so as always, I have put together a little presentation for you. So let me bring that up. I think you'll enjoy it. Okay, so Noro patterns. Hey, Amy Briggs, nice to see you. Okay, Noro patterns. There are some you know, absolutely. One of the most recent ones that I did, and that many of you did with me, is Terrazzo. This is a petite knit design. I did mine a little differently. It has this beautiful bulky turtleneck. I did one like that I'll show you in a minute. But for this one that I did with the colors as shown, I did a split half neck and I really like it. I'm going to show you real quick that garment. So this is my terrazzo. And what I did was rather than do the full turtleneck, I just split. I started my pickup here in the center and then I knit back and forth around. And I slipped the stitch on the edge just to give it a clean edge. And I really like the way it falls. It's just a little different and it makes it a little more wearable for me when the weather is not so cold that you need a million layers. So that's the first one. That's terrazzo, which you know. All right, the next one is the terrazzo that is done exactly like the pattern. This is, of course, the petite knits. I have this one here I can show you as well. I did this exactly like the pattern with a twisted rib at the neck, the huge, deep turtleneck. And this is gorgeous. I can tell you it's very cozy. It's very wonderful. It's not your traditional Noro because that's Silk Garden Sock Solo, which has a little bit less colorful stuff going on. So let's look at the rest. Hi, Danette. Nice to see you. Let's see. Amelia says, so glad you are doing this. I love Noro, but struggle with visualizing it in patterns, especially if it isn't a pattern specifically designed for Noro. Yeah, I don't think you're alone on that. So I'm glad that you appreciate this, Amelia. I think it's going to be really fun. Phyllis says, I like the sweater. I'm going to do that one. This one, I just want to go back to it real quick. This has been one of those colorways that has been sold out forever. So I actually bought 5 bags of the yarn and 4 bags of the Noro and 5 bags of the Kid Silk Haze. So I have massive quantities of this yarn combination if you want to make this terrazzo sweater as the original is done. So let me know. Anyway, fabulous. Okay, this is another one. This is a cocoa knits. Everybody knows cocoa knits. If you've knit a cocoa knit sweater, you know that Emma is the first one that you're going to do from the book. It's the easiest. And I simply did mine in a Noro. So you can see that it just gives you a little stripe. You know, this is beautiful. And I can't tell you how many solid colored Emmas I have knit. More than 5. Okay. And that's a lot. So doing this in the Noro, and I carried a strand of Kid Silk Haze with this, a very, very pale pink. And this is a beautiful sweater. It's just, it's just Noro. Let me show you this actually. So this is that one. I featured this a couple years ago at my end of year sweater, what I knit this year recap. And you can see that the Noro looks great. And the thing about doing Noro in the round pattern, you can see that I split the side on this all the way up to the armpit. So it has a real deep opening there. So you can see where I knit it back and forth, the stripe is much deeper. And then where I started knitting it in the round, around the sleeves and everything, you can see that the stripes are much narrower. So you see the difference between the bottom and the top with the wide striping and then the more narrow striping. That's just one thing you kind of want to think about if you are putting Noro into a pattern not specifically designed for Noro. If you're doing it in the round, your striping is going to be much more shallow. And depending on the way the Noro colors flow, like in Ito, the bursts of color are shorter than they are in, say, Sayun. So you just want to be aware of how frequently the color changes so that you have the look that you're hoping for. And a lot of people ask, why are so many of the Noro patterns worked seamed? One, everybody knows how I feel about seamed sweaters. I think they fit better. I think they hang better. I think they last longer. But additionally, with Noro, you get larger blocks of color because you're not going around the whole entirety of the garment, and you have a little bit more control over the front and the back being similar. But that pink striped sweater, the Emma, that nobody has ever said, wow, those stripes are different and they don't work, because they do work. They're fine. It's just something to be aware of, right? Yeah, so that's the Emma. And every time I wear this, people are shocked to hear that it is the Emma from Cocoa Knits. The next one is Gloria. And now I knit this sweater so long ago. It's a beautiful sweater. It's one of the first books that I got that was a professional designer designing specifically for Noro. This is a beautiful, beautiful pattern. And just to show you how long ago I knit this, that's Colton. That's me holding Colton. He's probably three years old there, and he's 23 now. So that sweater is 20 years old if it is a day. And I have it here, and I will show it to you. It is a beautiful mix. The way this sweater is done is the body is a smooth yarn. So you can smooth base yarn. And then here at the top, it's a cardigan. Here at the top and in the sleeves, you have 2 rows of the Noro and 2 rows of your solid yarn. So there's a beautiful blending, and this bottom part is stockinette, and then up here is garter stitch. So, and then the sleeves are also done with that same down and back with the one color, down and back with the Noro. And it's worked with the wrong side out. So do you see how when you work the wrong side out, you get this wonderful blending of the two colors. So it doesn't really even look stripy. It looks just sort of almost like a landscape. I'll show you the inside so you can see what I'm talking about. So here is the inside where you can see if you had just done the down and back with one and down and back with the other, you get a very clear differentiation between the solid and the Noro. But when you put that wrong side out in the garter stitch, you get that beautiful blending. And this is a gorgeous bell sleeve. I think this might be the first place I found that I absolutely adored bell sleeves on my sweater. No, they're not practical, but yes, they are stunning. So that is Gloria by Jane Ellison. And this pattern is available on Ravelry. For a long time, these patterns that were in these books were not available for you. They were only available in the books, and you had to look for an out of print version. But now they're available on Ravelry, and I'm so happy because now I can share them and recommend them to you. Right. So very fun. Okay, this is another one that I absolutely love. I thought I had pulled this from my closet to share with you, but apparently I did not. It's still upstairs. But anyway, here's a picture of me wearing it back in the day. This was probably 2010. I taught a class on this, and it's just a gorgeous little jacket. And I love the original. I think this original with the white and that, very elegant little string of pearls is beautiful. But look how pretty it looks in the Noro. It's just interesting. And it's more interesting, I believe, than say a variegated yarn with that self-striping. So the colors are very soft, they're very subtle, and I think it really works. So this is a lovely, lovely pattern available on Ravelry. It is worked in pieces and seamed. So very nice. All good. All right, so Phyllis says she wants to make the terrazzo sweater like mine and that she has the yarn. So yay, good, good. All right, so that's the Seville jacket. This trim along the edge is knitted separately and then seamed on. It's a little bit fiddly because you have to sort of stretch it around the curve and then ease it in at the angle, but it's a lovely effect. 3/4 sleeve. And I had expected it to be much longer. As you can see on the mannequin, it's much longer. But I think this is one of the times that I realized I was long-waisted when that sweater came out to be kind of waist length on me. This is another one, absolutely stunning. Now, if you love the idea of a turtleneck, that beautiful, rich, deep, plushy kind of ribbed neck, but you don't like things up around your neck, this is a beautiful example. This is by Cornelia Tuttle Hamilton, and this is one I made very early. I made my neckline a little higher because I didn't want to have to wear something under it, but I think I will probably knit this sweater again, maybe in the new yarn Tenson for an all season kind of sweater. This is just lovely. It's a 3/4 sleeve, and it's actually designed to be worked in reverse stockinette. I was not about the reverse stockinette when I made this. So I used a plain stockinette, used the knit side out, and it's just a lovely, lovely sweater. It has a little bit of waist shaping, and it's very pretty, very soft. Again, this is one of those ones I made before I realized my own body's requirements, and it just wasn't the right length for me. So I ended up giving it away, but I did love this sweater very much. This is called Kolsva by Cornelia Tuttle Hamilton. And again, this is from the early, early days. I want to say 2006, 2007 at the latest. Very pretty. And this one is Klaralund. And if you have been knitting, and if you were ever a follower of knitting blogs, you will know that this was the equivalent of a viral pattern back in the day. Again, by Cornelia Tuttle Hamilton. It is knit in silk garden and it is fantastic. It is fantastic because it has the most brilliant construction. It is 4 squares or rectangles. You've got a rectangle for this body portion and another one identical for the back. And then the sleeve is simply a rectangle and it is seamed across the top to the center of the bodice and the same on the back, and the sleeve forms this whole top portion of the I guess this is the bodice and this is the body, top portion of the bodice, and it comes down. It's not a bell sleeve, but it appears to be a bell sleeve because it doesn't angle with our arm, you know. So our arms are larger at the top than they are at the wrist. So having it be just a straight shape gives it that little bit of a bell effect. It is so beautiful. This is color 8 in Noro Silk Garden, and a lot of people made it in this color, which is color 84, the reds. Absolutely beautiful and so easy to do. There's just a little bit of elongated garter stitch here and then tight garter right here. Beautiful, beautiful, and so easy. Again, in pieces and seamed, but very, very attractive. And I show this beautiful version here just to show you that it looks great on a variety of body types. It is beautiful. And here is, let's see, Amelia loves the construction. Yeah, I think it's great. Cornelia is masterful with construction techniques. A lot of her stuff is really interesting and different. Hey, Betty, yay, glad to hear you're back on your knitting. Okay, so this one is another one by Cornelia Tuttle Hamilton. We did a number of these in the shop. I remember this was one of the most popular designs, and year after year, people were knitting it. This is sort of a riff on the Klaralund, where you have a back section here, just like you did for the bodice, but this whole sleeve section is much deeper. So it's seamed. These are the sleeves. You can see where my mouse is, right? These are the sleeves, and they're very large, and they have this this seam up the back. So there's the back of it, and here is dear sweet Ann Hoover, rest her soul, who knit one of the Bettnas. So very cute. It's knit in silk garden, and it is every bit as stylish and elegant today as it was back in 2000 and before 2010 when it was originally published. This one, I don't know what it is about this one that I love so much. This is by Jane Ellison, who was the designer who kind of took over designing for Noro when Debbie Bliss went off to do other things. But this is just such a cute, easy fitting sweater. It has some pattern here in the skirt of the body. And then up here is, it's separate. So it has this deep neck. You don't have to actually shape that V neck. It's just 2 separate pieces that work and fit that way because they're not held together with a seam or buttons or anything. Drop shoulder with no shaping. So just very easy fitting. I pulled yarn to make this, and I still am planning on doing it. I just love this. I think this is just the cutest, you know, styled like she wears it with the jeans. I see it with boots, and just wonderful. Whether you wanted to layer it over a, you know, a cami or a turtleneck or however you wanted to do that. Knit in Silk Garden. This is color 84, but it would be gorgeous in any. I have a beautiful colorway of Silk Garden that reminds me of a peacock tail, peacock feather that I plan to make this in. So yay. Let's see. Danette. I remember when Anne made her Bettna. Yes, it was. It was absolutely beautiful. I miss Anne every single day. Yeah, this is very boho, isn't it? Super cute. You love that one, right? It is very you, Ellen. I think it would look great on you. And no, you can't knit it in the round. I mean, you could, but I think you'd be sorry. Okay, this one is Freda, and this is also by Jenny Watson. This is from here. Yes, this is also, the other one is Jane Ellison, isn't it? Yes. Yes, Jane Ellison. So after Jane Ellison went off to do a new line of yarn and patterns for Knitting Fever, what was that line? Mirasol. So she went off to head up Mirasol, and Jenny Watson, who had been her assistant, took over designing for Noro. And I think that Freda here is one of the most beautiful ones. This book, Catwalk, this was, I think, maybe Jenny's first really big showing. She did some designs, but the Catwalk, she knocked it out of the park. There are so many designs in here. They're just lovely, and they're all so incredibly chic. I'm looking for the page where every single pattern is shown here. Here we go. So they're all really, really beautiful. So the patterns are available for $6. I would bet that if you looked for it, you could get Jenny Watson Catwalk 1, get Catwalk number 1 for just a couple bucks somewhere. And it would be worth having because it's a beautiful book with lots of really great patterns in it. So this is Freda, and this is just a little cropped V-neck, single button here, set in sleeve. I think everything about this is perfect. I love how she's shown it here with the neck open and this statement jewelry. Personally, I would probably do a statement button there and big earrings and no necklace, but that's just me. So she's got like a little cami or something on under it. And here she's wearing it with a beautiful ruffle neck blouse. So, very different styling, but super cute. Again, this is in Silk Garden. And honestly, I think it looks like it could have been published last week. And Catwalk came out, I think, maybe 2009, 2010. Yeah, so super cute. Francesca, also from that book. I love a long line cardigan vest, and vests have become so hot. They are absolutely beautifully trendy. And the thing that I can tell you about these designers, whether it's Jane Ellison or Jenny Watson or any of the others, is that their design work, their technical design work is impeccable, right? You're not going to have any issues with the shoulders being too wide or the armhole not being deep enough. They're just perfect, and they're technically edited. So I think the quality of the pattern writing on these is really, really good. So that's Francesca, and this one is knitted in Curion. And I think that Noro just released this year a color very similar to this one with that bright red. You don't see a lot of red in Curion because it's hard to get that really rich red, but this is just a beautiful, beautiful vest. This one is something you may or may not know. This is an early Cocoa Knits pattern. This is called Petra, and it was worked at a gauge of 3 stitches to the inch, and here it is in a solid color. When you work it in Noro, you see that the front has this incredible angle. It's knit on the bias, and you get this gorgeous, flattering diagonal stripe line on the front of the body. It is absolutely stunning. This is a yarn that's been discontinued. It's Transitions, and it was a bulky Noro. If you have Rika from 2 seasons ago, it would be beautiful in this. That being said, if you have a lighter yarn, here is Petra, same garment as the last one, right? This is knitted 3 stitches to the inch in a bulky yarn that is normally designed for 3 stitches to the inch. Here it is knit in a yarn that's designed for something like 5 or 6 stitches to the inch. So a worsted or um, sport weight yarn. And you can see that the drape is really lovely and it feels a little more modern than that, I think. So if you wanted to make the Petra in something like Kurion or Silk Garden or any other lighter than bulky weight Noro, it would be stunning. You could do it in a cotton blend, and this would be a gorgeous summer garment. Um, I love this. Now, I will say that Cocoa Knits, this is, as I said, it's one of her older patterns, and it is not knitted in the Cocoa Knits method. So she has revised it, and everything's knitted in the round, but it was originally all in one piece, and the sleeves were set in. So Amelia says, so far Petra and Klaralund are my favorites. Yes, and Danette, you might well have Catwalk. You've been with me that long, haven't you? Okay, so let's see what else I have for you. Okay, this is a sweater. Every single time I wear this sweater, people ask me what sweater it is. And if you saw this pattern on Ravelry, you probably wouldn't gravitate to it because they've done a beautiful job of styling it to show you exactly how it is constructed. It's a top-down raglan with a wrap construction. So you increase all the way down along here, and then you work straight until it's the length that you want. And I don't think there's much shaping in the sleeve. So you can see that the sleeve is a little bit loose. I went in there and I did it exactly as written, except I didn't put the hole in and I didn't add the tie. So you can see that it looks really great in the Noro. And I do like that this particular Silk Garden, this is Silk Garden Light. So any DK weight Noro would work, Scion would work, any of them would work. So this is a very pretty long repeat. So you have this light, bright pink and then other pink. So you get the whole effect of this pink and yellow striping being wide enough, even though it is going around the entirety of the body. So, all right, so there is that. And that is the last slide that I have. Danette says, I think it got Catwalk. Yes, that was, oh, you know who that was? Is Gilda. Yeah, Gilda King. So I hope that this has been helpful in visualizing how Noro is going to look in a pattern that you like. Another thing that you can do, and I have talked about this before, is if you have a pattern that you like and it has a decent number of projects in Ravelry, click on those projects and then in the little search bar that when you're looking at the projects, type in Noro and it's going to pop up and see if anybody has knit that pattern in Noro. I think you'll be surprised at how many other people love Noro and have gone ahead and worked patterns that are not Noro patterns in Noro. So you can see how they look with that little bit of a stripe in there. And it really also depends on how you like your Noro to be. So there is, of course, Noro solos that have only the most subtle of stripe, and their nod to Noro is that little bit of a tweed fleck. There are other Noros that are low contrast. So you might have 87. It's mostly red, it's shades of red. So you get more of almost a kettle dyed look. Same with Sonata. If you love that very bold, high contrast lower yarn in the skein that has very different values or very different colors, like a bright blue and a soft turquoise. Those are going to give you that bold effect. Conversely, if you don't want that bold effect, look for skeins and colorways that have more of a subtle difference in value. And some yarns like Ritu, which I have on sale right now, has its nature is that the colors are very subtle. Kurion, Ito, those are bright, bold, in your face. Um, so you just kind of have to think about what it is that you're looking for in your Noro sweater or the sweater that you want to work in Noro, and what effect is best for you and your personal style. If you're a dramatic or you have, very high contrast between your skin tone and your hair color, you can carry those high contrast colors very easily, like Ginny. If you're like me and your hair and your face are basically the same color, you need more low contrast things. But there's no end to the patterns that you can do with Noro, and any garment that doesn't have too much going on is enhanced by Noro. If it has an interesting construction, I think the Noro is especially nice because those stripes highlight the construction method. So I hope that this has helped you appreciate not only some of the older patterns that look great in Noro, and were designed for Noro, but how to think about putting Noro into garments that were not designed for it. So until next time, when we will have a video that I shot a lot of today with different people wearing all of the garments from the current Noro magazine. I think it's 27. That was so much fun, and I can't wait to put that video together for you. So until then, keep knitting and create something beautiful. Good night.